YouTube, how's it going? Welcome to my very first video. And I'm kicking it off with something what's very special to me, which in my opinion is a pandemic, which is lower back pain. Now, before I get started, I have struggled with this for a very long time now. And I'm going to say two things. First thing is, I'm not a physiotherapist, okay? So if I say anything wrong or like biomechanically isn't right, this is just my findings and this has been my journey and what I now understand of it. So if I do say something wrong, instead of like putting anybody down, put in the comments so you can actually help somebody out, because the reason I am doing this is because I have spent years on forums, on YouTube, on Reddit, on anything on the internet, which will, in hope, make me understand my symptoms more. Because believe me, like, this has been a very long journey now and a lot of symptom changes. So every time my symptoms have changed, they don't match up to scans and they don't match up to what the internet should say, okay? And has it made me worse? 100%. This is why I'm coming out with this journey and I'm going to document it all, because I get great help from watching other people's journey who have healed, and that's what I plan on doing. So number one is, I am not a physiotherapist, okay? I am not a doctor or anything like that. So like I said, just bear with me. I have my phone to help me with a timeline because it's been so messy, and hopefully it helps somebody along the way. Number two, I'm also not a psychotherapist, anything to do with psychiatry, anything to do in the holistic health space. I'm just giving you just nothing but my pure organic journey, okay? I'm not even going to do a second take if I mess up. I will do a second take if I have missed stuff out, because the journey's been so long and honestly, like, so debilitating. So I'm hopefully going to get that across in my way. And yeah, I know people are out there in bed, like, really hoping that somebody understands the pain. And listen, I understand your pain, right? There's nothing worse when somebody goes, oh my God, have you tried yoga? Have you tried breath work? And like, somebody who doesn't quite understand your pain keeps telling you to stop thinking about it, do something else, go and put your mind and keep busy elsewhere. And if you want me to be honest, you just want to kill them. It's such a personal battle that nobody outside of it can ever help you but yourself. And I'm in a position now where I do deal with it a lot better mentally. And I'm going to go through that. And also what I've been through my life, which I believe has hindered the progress, has not helped. And yeah, I'm just going to get it across in the way I know, and only the way I can put this across through my own journey, and hopefully that helps somebody. So let's get into it. So my back pain started, and I'm actually like shocked going through all this, by the way. Like, I've done a timeline if you want to see, and it's actually shocked me going over some of the things I've actually been through. So if you think I haven't been there, I promise you I have. So my back pain started in 2019, so that's 5 years now. But back then, did I care about my health? No. I was just drinking alcohol, partying all the time. I was very unhealthy. I was working a very driver-dominant job. I was driving 100 miles a day. It was a very labour job from the side of the road. I was lifting heavy things without proper bracing, knowing anything about spinal health, etc. And I was also, in my younger years, believe it or not, a professional gamer. So where did my back pain originate from? It wasn't a car crash. It wasn't anything like a sudden injury, anything like the questions you get asked by physios, just to be like any huge trauma to the spine. The answer is no. But what I only think I can put my back pain down to at that time was not looking after my body, being very in ill health, not respecting my body. My professional gaming days, I sat at an Xbox for 11, 12 hours a day plus for easily 6, 7, 8, 9 years. And then I drove a driver-dominant job from 19 to 28, 100 miles a day. So you could actually say I probably spent 10 years of my life, no more. You could probably say I started gaming 14, 13. I've literally spent 15 years of my life sat down. So that's what I'm putting it down to. So anyway, started like I got to a point where my back pain started getting that bad. I started like leaving my old life behind of drinking and alcohol and getting into fitness. Now, obviously, the 2 years it started, I didn't really care, but then it got to a point where it got in the way of my life. So I actually started changing my life around May 2021, and I picked up triathlon training. And then this was the point where, when I was training, I realised I couldn't physically train for it. Swimming was okay, running was okay, but afterwards it would hurt. It would be the bike again, sat down. So all my back pain come in hip flexion. Again, I'm going to use a lot of terms. This is because like the knowledge I've now got of the body and my understanding of it. So again, if I'm wrong, it just is what it is, and I don't really care, to be honest with you. I've been through too much to care about people's opinions on the internet. So I'm here to help the people who are in pain. So all my pain was coming from hip flexion. I got my first, so that was June 2021. That was the middle of June. And I continued to try and train through it, and I just couldn't. It was just getting in the way of my life. I couldn't sit down and eat food. Like at this point, I was standing up and eating dinner with my girlfriend at the time in my home. I couldn't sit down. When we'd have our evening meal, I'd be standing up while she'd be sat down. It was absolutely horrendous. So when I got my first ever MRI from the NHS in 2022, now, that come up with L5 S1 disc herniation, and I think it was about 8 mil. It wasn't that big, but, and also again, the MRI at the time showed left protrusion, but all my pain was on the right. So this is where it always gets confusing with my symptoms and what the scans show, and I'm going to get further into that. So then I then seeked that. I had the MRI, got the L5 S1 disc herniation report, and then he said you need rehab. So at this point, I then go and seek out the best physiotherapist in Liverpool. And by the way, well, before I get into it, these guys actually sent an email out that they're closing down. So bit of karma, but anyway, my physiotherapist, the ones who were meant to be working in football and all this, I got put with a guy, and I'm never going to name any names either, by the way, because I know nobody ever wants to hurt me or meant for me to be on this journey, but I've had some real poor care along this journey. So January 2022, I started getting rehab, but I was also training for CrossFit as well at this time, through the triathlon training as well. I know, crazy. But I was also picking up high rocks training. But at this time, fitness was my everything. Now, I have been through a lot when I was younger, okay? I like a lot. So I found fitness as like my newfound escape. 100%. There was a lot of alcohol and drugs when I was younger to cope. But then I found fitness, and it was my life, and I just couldn't stop training. No matter who told me to stop, I couldn't. I was addicted 1,000,000%, unhealthy 1,000,000%. So I was training CrossFit as well as then signing up for my first High Rocks race. Now, during this time, the physiotherapist in that centre from day one, because again, I remember it well, we were doing dead bugs and stuff, and I've never been able to do dead bugs, and I know now I know why now through my own like research. But anyway, the stuff he was giving me, my body couldn't physically take it, and literally from like day one, all he installed into me was, you're probably best getting an operation. You're probably best getting an operation. Have you ever thought about getting an operation? With your life being, because this guy deals with footballers, right? So when they're an athlete, so when the football and athletes, the best thing to do is just go again, get the micro discectomy and like job done. So he was installing into me from day one that basically I may never see any improvements, and it's probably just best for me to just go in and get surgery. So around this time, my brain was like battered. He was just, all the rehab wasn't working. It was getting worse, and support from him was just basically, are you going to get surgery? And that's all he kept telling me. I think you're probably best just getting surgery. Would you doing this? You might just be best going in and getting it done. So the conversation was never really around rehabilitating my body. It was just a quick fix. And I've never, ever, ever wanted to do that, because at that time I heard so many horror stories. I don't want anybody messing with my spine. So anyway, I trained through it, and I then get a 3rd place finish at High Rocks. Like, I've trained through this, again, is it healthy? No, but I've trained through this back pain like a madman for like, so that was October. So I've trained through all this back pain now for like a year, like a crazy guy. But I was an absolute animal, honestly. And I weren't prepared to let that fitness side of me go, because I was putting so much worth on my fitness status. So I was only good enough by being so fit. So I couldn't let it go. So this is now where it starts getting even more confusing. Again, if I miss anything out, apologies. I will come back to it and do a part two. So I leave that physiotherapist because he's just not helping me. And then in my head, I need medical intervention, because then he starts putting in my head, it's to do with nerves. Like, you could, like, I remember him telling me all these terms because he was in the professional football game, and me, like, I'm like, how am I meant to know what all this is? And if anything, it scared me. So I am financially stable, and at that time I was like, financially, income wasn't a problem. So I decided to go private with private healthcare. I found a musculoskeletal doctor where I'm from in the UK, and I decided to take up private healthcare because the NHS just kept telling me you need a good physio, but the best physio in where I lived was telling me now there's a medical issue and I need to go down injections, and there's nerve denervations, there's all this medical care I should be going down to get some relief, so we can either continue rehab or again go straight to the operation. So November 2022, I then go and get private healthcare. Now this is where it gets absolutely horrible, okay? And this is where all the money is spent. I then go into a doctor of musculoskeletal, and to be fair, looking back now, he was right. He did tell me from day one that there wasn't nothing much wrong up with the spine, but I was in like the pain was debilitating. And I would know now what I know about Nerv is because I was training so hard. I was training 4 hours a day. I was under eating calories. Like, my life was just so unhealthy, just down to training and nothing but driving all day in my job. Like, now I see why the pain and the nerves were so inflamed and causing me so much issues. But I didn't care. Honestly, I didn't care. So anyway, I then got to November 2022 where I started the private healthcare. We went through, by the way, this is private, so I'm paying £200 weekly just to see the doctor. I pay for injections in the spine. I pay for nerve denervations, all this nerve treatment. We go through MRIs in flexion, MRIs in extension, MRIs stood up, MRIs lying down. And we can't get to the bottom of what's wrong with me. So in that period over this, I reckon I spent easily, every procedure was £2,000 to £4,000. I spent easily £15,000 to £17,000 in a 5-month period, on top of all the physiotherapy I was getting weekly back in Liverpool for over a year. So it gets to February 2023, and I'm not going to lie, I'm broken physically, mentally. And I'm also going through some pretty big life changes as well. Let's just say that, like, my personal life was also very, very tough. And don't forget, I'm also running a business, and again, driving 100 miles a day. Like the environment for my back to heal wasn't there, and I know that now. February 2023 leads me to a pain psychologist. They're telling me I need to see a pain psychologist as well as I continue their private healthcare. So this guy is like £2,200 for 10 sessions. Do the 10 sessions. And then he sends me this PDF. Pain's now your best friend. You've got to dance with your pain of a morning and all this. And it's just like, this is just no quality of life to live. And then, by the way, I've done another block of 10 sessions. That's another £4,400. So you could probably imagine how mentally tough this is. Well, I hope you can feel it through the camera. I'm running a business. I'm under eating calories. I am going through some serious life changes. I'm getting all the injections. My nerves are getting burnt away, and nothing is helping. Absolutely nothing. I know I'm also trying different physios behind closed doors at this point. Okay. So again, I'm also getting second opinions from different physios around closed doors. It was absolutely crazy, but nothing's helping. So I'm just like, I'm broken. My whole mindset was, I'm completely broken. And again, I've got here March 26. I remember it well. Again, I'm still training. I'm still training through all of this, despite people telling me to stop, and I don't. I then reach a new 5K PB through all this. I've just finished third at High Rocks in the UK. And I've also just hit a 5K BB. I think it was like 19 minutes 11. So like I said, I was really, really fit. I was benching 100 kg at the same time, plus. So I'm extremely fit through all this pain. But I remember doing the 5K PB, and I remember running up a slight incline and the back just give out. And I was like, this was kind of the changing point of me thinking, I can't continue to live this life. It is just not healthy. It's just not sustainable. Like, I'm in that much pain. Like, why am I doing it to myself? And it was just horrendous. Like, honestly, like, yet the physical pain, but the mental pain I was going through, the pain psychologist, what was going on in my personal life, and the pain guy, the guy who I was dealing with pain medicine. Honestly, I'm like, again, this is probably my ego saying I'll never forgive him. I do, but what he was installing into me, he was telling me all my symptoms were wrong. So obviously all my scans shown left side, but all my main symptoms were on the right. And from day one, he was telling me, no, Stephen, I'm a liar. It's in your head. This is not possible. Like mechanically, this is not possible. You're making it up. I don't believe you. We would do pain numbing on the right, and then on the drive home on the left side would kick off, and he's telling me, no, you're lying on the phone calls afterwards. And I'm like, how is this possible? Like, I've got the best, I'm paying the best of the best to tell me what I'm telling my symptoms is not possible. So it was horrendous. That time of my life was absolutely horrible. And I'm probably at this point, like, what, 10, 20, 15, 20,000 English pound down more. So anyway, I do the 5K PB in the beginning of March, and then the end of March 2023, I then go and snap my ligaments in my ankle. I jump out my work van randomly, and the two ligaments in my left ankle, I'll fall funny and basically like collapse in the middle of the road. And I'm like, oh my God, if I definitely don't need something else physically. I was on crutches, everything. But this was the time where I went, right, I now have the time for like to be in bed bound for like the next few weeks. I'm now gonna let my back die down, let my ankle heal, and I'm gonna fix them both at once. Time off work, everything. So I then go back to the exact same physiotherapy and deal with both the guys in Liverpool. By the way, the most expensive as well. Just to get across how much money I've actually spent on this. I go back to them guys and say, right, I'm going to fix both. They fix the ankle, but not the back. And again, the exact same guy. By the way, again, I missed a part out. The surgeons in the private health sector, just before this, I was just about to pay £12,000. Just before I was about to pay, just before I snapped my ankle, the guys obviously in the private healthcare told me surgery was the only option. So I was willing to pay £12,000, I think it was, to get the surgery. I was just done with it because they were telling me all my symptoms were wrong, so something must be up. But then once I snapped my ankle, they say no, they aren't going to do the surgery. And also I'll go back to the doctors around my ankle because I weren't willing to pay, because I had to go and get a scan on the ankle, went to the NHS. And this is where the NHS had to give me a third MRI, because the doctor was amazing. And she was like, I may as well give you an MRI on your back just to see where we're at, as well as give you MRI on your ankle. And I had them both over 2 days. And now I remember the report coming back of a new finding. And I can't remember what it was. I'll maybe do a part two. But that's why that's why the pain wouldn't do the pain guy wouldn't do the nerve denervation. Sorry, I was about to get all my nerves burnt off. That was it, just before the ankle. All my nerves were about to get burnt off. I was just about to pay, I think it was like £6,000 after the blockages. But then we had this new MRI founder and he said, no, you need to speak to a surgeon. Sorry, I got mixed up. Again, apologise if things do get mixed up. It's been that confusing. It'll come to me as I say it. So then the new MRI found something. He said, you need to speak to a surgeon. So then I went to speak to a surgeon. And he was like, listen, the bulge isn't that much, but if you're in this much pain, I'll do it. So I was like, yeah, right, let's do it. Let's do the surgery. I was getting the funding together, £12,000, and I was just about ready to do it. Then I remember, and again, sorry, I'll do it. But then after much consideration, he sent me an email and said, I'm not prepared to do it because the bulge is not nowhere near as bad as it needs. And because you're so young, it can cause so many issues. So then the guy at the physio, I told him, he then puts me in touch with another surgeon. He tells me this is a surgeon he deals with all the time, and he'll do him a favor and he will get him to like look at it, and he'll probably do the surgery because I know him as like a friend of a friend if I really ask him. So then I go and see this other surgeon in Liverpool, and the surgeon basically tells me, you're going to be in pain for the rest of your life. I'm not going to do the surgery. I'm not prepared to do it, but you are going to be, basically people are in pain for the rest of their life. Be prepared. So I remember leaving that doctor's just crying my eyes out because he was just telling me, like, just basically get prepared for this pain for the rest of your life. Change your job, change this, change that, and you're probably going to have a life of pain management. So I'm like, oh my God, like at that point I was really, really struggling. Sorry if that bit got mixed up. Again, I'll continue to fix as I go along. Anyway, so yeah, I'm now being told I'm going to be in pain for the rest of my life. I cut off all physio and I cut off everything because it was like a 2-month period where I was just frozen up and I just couldn't deal with it. And then I remember watching a High Rocks video. A High Rocks athlete, he had 2 disc bulges off a High Rocks race and then went to a physio about 50 minutes outside of where I live and got fixed in like 12 weeks. Well, not fixed, but better. So I was like, why am I in this much pain when this guy's just bulged 2 discs and I only have 1? So maybe I go and see this. Maybe I go and see this physio. But I've got here, just before I go and see this physio, I then find a chiropractor. You know, these people who put you on the traction boards, who like stretch you apart. Obviously, I got sold the dream by the chiropractor. You need to sign up for 4 months. It's another, I think I paid another $3,000. And we'll put you on a board every night after work and we'll stretch your spine out. And I'm like, yeah, great. She obviously, again, sold me the dream. Everybody you go to sells you the dream. Everybody you go to has the fix, has the way to solve what you've got going on. And another thing with physios is they always slag each other off. They're always better than the next one. So this is why you need to make sure that you keep going. And because this does get better before it gets worse, but you need to keep going, keep getting different opinions, I promise you. So I started taking these boards. And again, though, I am working so much to keep my house afloat and the business afloat. I'm self-employed. I'm going to this every night. Anyway, then I start physio. And guys, over the next 12 weeks, I got fixed. This is the amazing bit. All the symptoms relieved itself, not from the board, but from the physio. I'd done things I'd never done. And I was like, maybe the board did help, I don't know, but it was more the physio. And I was like, oh my God, I'm fixed. After the worst 2 years of my life, 3 years, I am actually fixed. I can't believe these symptoms are relieved, because you believe your pain's never going to go away. So I'm like, oh my God, that was September 2023. And I said, right, I'm going to live life. I have like not lived life. I've been, because by the way, guys, a big, massive part I've missed out about this. I was going through huge psychotherapy from my childhood during all of this. Okay. So I had back pains, psychotherapy, chiropractic boards, medical doctors telling me I'll never walk again. I need to like pick up washing bags a certain way. I'm always going to have a life of pain, all during this period. So to say it was pain psychologists, to say it was horrendous, it was horrendous. But then I got fixed and I was like, oh my God, I've done it. I can't believe I'm going to live life. So I booked a flight to Bali. I was like, I'm going to live life. I'm going to go away. I'm going to train. I'm going to enjoy myself, because I've not been able to enjoy life for a very long time now. And then the flight there was amazing. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to finally live a normal life. Went for a month. Day 2, I'd done a workout and it all come back. I remember it well. I re-herniated during a workout in Bali. Yeah, going through it now is just tough thinking about it. I re-herniated in Bali. All this new QL pain, tightness, nerve issues down my hamstrings, legs. I couldn't believe it. I was just so debilitated and devastated. Anyway, but it does get it. But one thing I had now was confidence I was going to get better because I've already got better. So this was so in January 2024. I then contact again another industry's best. Say lightly, but again, listen, I'm not going to slag anybody off. Okay, no names because I do respect these as men. Nobody ever wished me harm. Yes, their intentions were right, but the methods didn't work. So I then go, right, I'm going to go home and fix myself. I'm going to take another 5 months out. I pay, again, a lot of money. And from January to July, nothing worked. So again, with much battling, and these guys are starting to blame my broken ankles at this point, and I know a little bit of the human body, but like these guys are starting to clutch at straws, okay? But these guys are in Leeds, by the way. Again, just to tell you about the stress and the money. The people I'm now working with are in Leeds, so I have to drive a 4-hour round trip once every 2 weeks. Again, staying over, diesel, fuel, work, missing out on work, missing out on work. It was crazy, okay? Actually, that's actually further than Leeds. So, and these guys are constantly they were a young team, but again, just constantly starting to blame different things like your ankle injuries. Tell me more about that. And at this point, I'm like, I'm just done. Like, I'm just done with this and what you're doing. Thank you, and I cut ties. So that was there, January 2024 to July. There's another 6 months just gone your life, hoping a physio will make you better. So then, July to September 2024, I'm starting to also move home and stuff. So I then find a spine specialist again, closer to home because I can't do all the traveling. And again, he just starts putting needles in me and just starts speaking about operations and stuff. I leave him. He was 8 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks, and then in September, I find another spine specialist, as they call it, in Liverpool, who starts blaming me. He starts blaming again. Who starts blaming other things, but I have got different symptoms at this point. It's all this burning around the hips. He starts saying he needs to speak to people in Birmingham. Honestly, like again, this period's crazy. I try and be as quick as possible here, and then I found another specialist in Manchester, and then I do go back to my old physio, who we do start working with, but don't have travel to go to him because I then lose my car because I'm moving home, and it's like the travel and stuff is starting to get a bit crazy. So this takes me to October 2024, where my symptoms are so different to the first time. They're absolutely awful at this point, but then this is where it gets worse. I then find a team in Liverpool where I live. Let me say I found a team at home, where we figured out all these. By the way, again, during the specialist times, I'm getting a lot of nerve issues now. By the way, symptoms are so much different to the first time. I'm getting nerve problems. So then I go through all these different specialists closer to home, and again, they just start pushing operations and stuff, and I just really don't want to take an operation. Anyway, I then find a team, and this is where now I'm going to start speaking about now. So this is where I find a team who find loads of deficiencies in my strength. And again, the team's amazing. I'm not going to slag off anybody because I actually hope to work with them again one day on a performance and athletic side of things. But I then come away from all these nerve people and spine specialists who just didn't do anything. Some of them even just done acupuncture, and it was just like, yeah. So anyway, I go into this strength block. I go into this 5-6 months of strength and conditioning, and things get progressively worse. I start feeling things that I've never felt before, and I got the strongest I've ever got. This is like data wise, but symptoms around my back and around burning around my front, burning around my hips, burning in my shins, burning in my ankles. As I work with these guys for the 5-6 months, symptoms get a lot worse, and they just keep getting told, we need to keep stressing. And now when I know about nerves, you cannot stress the nerve. Also, Also the exercise again. I'll get to after these people. But anyway, I have to cut ties with these people because they keep telling me we need to keep going. We need to keep going, and I can't keep going with the state I'm in. Literally, I'm the worst I've ever been, like symptoms wise. And what I know now about what the exercises they had me doing and what I was doing, it was just wrong for the symptoms I've got now. So even though I'm in the worst place I am now, I've got more clarity than ever, which I'll get to. I know this is a long one. So I go in with these guys and they just keep telling me to keep stressing, keep stressing, keep stressing. And you just cannot do that with disc and nerve, right? So at this point now, I'm at the worst symptoms wise I've ever been. So I leave that relationship behind. Again, no bad words about any of them. They're amazing men, but just not qualified enough for what I needed at that time. So again, I leave them in the worst I've been. Hip flexors burning, quads burning, shins burning, feet burning, absolutely everything burning. I then have to go and find the nerve specialist in Germany I worked with prior to dice some things down, and that she did. Amazing. So then I go and find Stuart McGill's right-hand man, Joe Prokowski. I'm sorry about if I mentioned that name wrong. And I go and see him in London. This is recently, so this is like March time this year. And he obviously tells me I obviously I got a scan as well before I went there, which the scans show L5, S1, left protrusion, central thecal sac compression. But again, we don't believe it was that big until I went through the strength and conditioning. This is what a guy in London's telling me. He doesn't believe it'd be that big, but I was doing Jefferson curls and stuff, and the way my disc pushes out, we believe it's me. That's like 20 mil. Anyway, again, nobody's ever tried to hurt me. I'm just right now in a really tough position. So I then go to the guy in London, and obviously it's just bird dogs and stuff, but I can't do bird dogs and stuff right now. Honestly, my symptoms are absolutely crazy. And again, this is the tough part. So the guy in London, start to work with him, and then I say, right, I'm going to go back to Bali and just try and heal here. So let me, that is like absolute craziness, by the way, what I've all went through, right? That is my past. That is what I've been through. That is, yeah, I healed, and then I'm now in probably one of the worst places I've been with symptoms. But I've got more clarity than ever, which I will get to. So unfortunately, I've just been tossed around people who just either push an operation or their treatment's correct, and it's not. Okay, so where am I at now? Because right now, symptoms are the most craziest thing I've ever had in my life. I can't do any lower abdominal pressure. I have L5, S1, nerve, root, compression, which I get, which is the ankle burning, but I can deal with that. But like right now, my hip flexors burn and my quads burn. Now, I've recently just done, now again, I'm being told it's coming from the spine, like all these hernias and stuff. Honestly, it's just so stressful at the minute. But what have I found out recently? Let me just jump straight to that. But like right now, while I'm sat here, all my quads are burning, all my hip flexors are burning. Yesterday, I done an easy day, and I'm still burning. I'm still massively burning. So it's really, really tough right now to deal with. Will I have to go back to the UK? Probably in the next 4 to 5 weeks. But I've also just started peptides, which I'll get to that in a minute. So what do we know now? Well, I went on a 7-day water fast like 2 weeks ago, and a lot of the symptoms died down. And what I realized is when I press on my hip flexor, my psoas muscle, a lot of my quad burning can die down. But I've also got sensory nerve issues in the knees. So what is this telling us now? So right now, there's 1 of 3 things going on. I've also worked with the physio where you've been told they have an anterior pelvic tilt. So the 1 of the 3 things is I have femoral nerve compression from the spine, but that doesn't match up with my scans. Option 2, which we believe is happening, is my psoas muscle psychologically and also physically takes on a lot of my structural issues and basically overcompensates for my core. Now, I have also realised, working with the physio in Australia, which I'm doing now, is I've got a very weak TVA. Again, I'll have to do a part 2 on this. So So yeah, so right now it's either, and the psoas muscle is then compressing on the femoral nerve. So I even went and got a femoral nerve scan the other day just to ensure there's no hernia and no nerve contraption, which she confirmed there isn't, but the healthcare here is really, really tough. So again, I'm probably going to have to return to the UK and confirm that in the next 4 to 5 weeks. So right now, my nerve problems are the worst they've ever been because of what happened in the strength and conditioning. Also, my lower abdomen area, I cannot put any pressure on. Anytime I brace, aggravates nerve issues in my quads. So whatever happened through the constant stressing and stressing and stressing through the heavy lifting and the heavy compound stuff and all the strength and conditioning work, unfortunately has left me in the worst state nerve-wise I've ever been. Honestly, it's debilitating. But I kind of got more clarity than ever that it's hoping it's just a psoas issue with femoral nerve compression, or there's that much pressure on my psoas and anterior pelvic tilt that it's again compression on the femoral nerve through the hip crease and not coming from the spine, because it can have femoral nerve compression due to your anterior pelvic tilt, and it can compress that way. So yeah, guys, I'm going to finish it up here because I've also started peptides, by the way. So I will continue this healing journey, and I will continue to document it for the people who I know are really, really, really suffering. Okay. And here I've just dumped away on what's going on. And yeah, I am really struggling right now with the symptoms. Like me sitting down now is tough. I've been sat down now 36 minutes. I'm in agony. And to think that it's because of other people is tough, you know, but it's not their fault. But I've got more clarity than ever, so I'm gonna have to go home to the UK, I believe, in the next 4 to 5 weeks and get some like physiotherapy there. And yeah, just hope for the best. I'm gonna leave this here because it's obviously so long. I don't wanna bore anybody any further, but yeah, I'm just getting all this out there just so you know how tough this journey's been, okay? How tough it's been and how difficult it does affect you mentally. Listen, I've been there and I know how you feel mentally, okay? I know, and I'm there with you. So just to make people realise that I'm in it with them, and no matter what other people say, it's a mental battle on your own. So yeah, I will continue this journey and I'll continue videoing and vlogging it. So you come along the journey with me, and yeah, I hope I make somebody feel better. But I am injecting peptides now as well for the next 5 weeks. And yeah, hopefully, if it is just a psoas issue, because my posterior chain is so weak, then we're gonna get to work on it. And it's just a strength issue. We're gonna get to work on it, but I can't lift too much weight because of like the abdominal pressure it causes. So again, it's tough. I can't rehab properly because of all the things that's going on. So I will, and when I go back to the UK, I'll probably have to return to a medical doctor just to confirm some medical things aren't going on. And I just need that clarity so then we can get to the physio work. But again, this is like probably just before the finish, guys, this is probably like an identity death for me. This is the worst thing that for me as an athlete, that I love exercise and fitness so much that I can't do it. And I can't even sit down and have a normal coffee with friends. That's the hardest part. So this past year has been probably the toughest, by going in somewhere and coming out worse because basically like a lack of understanding from, again, specialists. And again, now the care wasn't great, and now I know from my own understanding of the body. But yeah, but my understanding is now that if it's not medical, that we have a psoas issue. My anterior pelvic tilt and my psoas issue is taking on all the pressure and it's constantly tight. And if that is the case, we just need to really strengthen the posterior. But again, I can't do it because of the symptoms, so it's tough. So I don't. And again, I recently got an injection, by the way, what also failed. just to add to everything else. So again, guys, I'm gonna end this sub 40 minutes. If it's very confusing and anybody needs me to go over anything, please drop your questions in the comment box. Yeah, if you think you've been there, I've been there. Financially, mentally, it's been tough. Okay. But I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna get to the other side. I don't care how long it takes now, because life is more important than what I want to do as an athlete, right? But I will get back there. So yeah, follow along. If there's any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll get back to them. because I know how confusing this can be, and I hope that by me sharing how difficult this journey's been gives somebody else hope and that they're not alone. So thank you. I will see you on my next video.